Talking with famous people.
I want to talk about confidence, arrogance, introverted feelings, and extroverted feelings. Specifically, I've heard from 4 or 5 different people over the last few months that I sound arrogant often, or too often, or most of the time even. Most of the time I sound arrogant. So, I've been thinking about that, and I want to try to fix that problem, right? But what it makes me think about a lot is the fact that when somebody says you sound arrogant, they're saying you're presenting as though you are arrogant, as though you feel arrogant, I guess. But what is it? First of all, I don't know what that means, what it means to feel arrogant. Second of all, I don't know what it means to be arrogant either, exactly. And
Do you think you're always right?
I mean, I don't really have any position on it as a general statement like that.
But
maybe
when it comes to most things, you think you're more right rather than wrong.
I would say that if you review disputes that I've had with people over conceptual things over the last year or so, that, yeah, I'd probably be right most of the time. Not always.
I think it's also possible to embody arrogance, as in just sort of be in a mode of arrogance, as well as present arrogance without actually being arrogant, as in somebody could misperceive you or misjudge you as being arrogant when perhaps you're not.
So, I mean, do we agree that that so you're saying there's 2 different kinds of things that somebody might misperceive something I'm doing or saying as arrogant, which means actually I'm not arrogant, or that I might be actually in an arrogant mode, in which case actually I am arrogant, right? Now, the definition that was just presented in the chat says having or revealing an exaggerated sense of one's own importance or abilities.
Do you strut your peacock feathers, Eric? Do you wiggle them about?
I guess I do that some. I mean, but how does one present anything that, how does one say, here's something I made without revealing that you think is worth their looking at it?
Here's my question. With a word like arrogance, is everybody necessarily talking about the same thing? What I mean by that is that it's possible that in some situations what gets deemed as arrogant isn't necessarily bad. Do you think there's a form of arrogance that isn't purely negative?
Well, and that brings back to the point of confidence. I do want to answer Barry's question real quick. Do I set the stage, though, set up the argument where you already know the answer? No, I never do that. I don't set up arguments. They just happen. I can tell you that for sure. I don't set up arguments. I don't really set up anything. So if your version of arrogance requires planning, then I am very humble. Sense of one's own importance or ability. So if you're the president, you can strut around like you're really important and never be arrogant because you actually are the president. So if you have low importance or poor abilities, then you have to reveal that you understand that. But if you have good importance and abilities, then it's okay to reveal that you understand that. But if you reveal that you are more important, that you think you're more important than you actually are, then that's arrogance. Is that the way that works? I think that's the way that definition works.
How do you find out that somebody's arrogant unless they make the mistake of showing it? Badly. Enough for you to pick up on it.
Well, I mean, I think I do present as arrogant a lot. I don't think
I'm just
that's
asking,
correct assessment.
what's the root of arrogance is what I'm asking. Is it pride?
Yeah, it's got to be pride.
Because I'm just wondering if really it's like, really what the sort of disgust is with arrogance is your pride showing. It's hanging out a little bit there. You need to tuck that in. It's like somebody walking around with their ass hanging out.
It's an FE failure.
You need to put that back in there. Your pride's...
It's an FE failure. I think it's a display problem that I could probably fix for the most part. I think when I do come across as prideful, it's very off-putting. No, Barry, it's fine. You don't have to FE pad. It's fine. I think that's actually exactly accurate.
Actually, yeah. Let me scroll up. I'll reverse the FE. Eric, your niche or personality strengths, etc., are attached to being correct. And when someone contends something you say, you easily attack or defend overly so. Is that
then he FE pads, right? Or something like that. Not you specifically.
You specifically, Eric. You do that. No. Actually, yeah, fuck it. You do to an extent.
Yeah, I do that, totally.
But
You have that black and white kind of thinking a lot, and I think people want more shades of gray.
Well, look, the problem is at the bottom of all the thinking, there's a big pool of gray. And so you've got to be precise about the stuff, everything above the pool. There's no reason to be mushy.
Otherwise, you drown in it. Yep.
Yeah, otherwise there's nothing to do, nowhere to go.
I just think some people don't want those limits or restrictions placed upon.
Well, those people are wrong!
They are wrong.
They're very wrong. I think in some ways it's like that black and white thinking, and then you got the pool of gray. It's like the black and white thinking is like a cannon, and the pool of gray, it's off there in the distance. You owe it to yourself to be as logically consistent as you can, because at some point you're going to have to fire off into that pool of gray, and you're going to want to at least get somewhere close to the area that you want.
Well-calibrated cannon at that point. Yeah, that's a very good analogy there, Ken. I like it a lot.
Thanks.
You've turned the pool of gray into the fog of war.
Goddamn fog of war can't see through this shit.
That smirkiness would be off-putting because it implies meh at somebody else a little bit, you know?
You're forgetting its cousin, smarmy.
I don't think I do a lot of smarmy. I think I'm much more likely to do smirky.
I think Taylor's a bit more of a smarmy. He's got a slight, just an occasional smarm. It doesn't really get to that FE level of smarm, but it's covert smarminess.
Nick got that shit in spades, though. He'll sell you that, Desert.
Nick presents a delightfully warm bowl of smushy schmarm.
And a used car salesman.
I was talking with him earlier before he went to bed. It was actually very interesting because we were going over Enneagram stuff, and I think his primary type, the 3, it's like I was talking to him about some of that stuff, and then also his tri-type, and it's like I think he felt like it matched up pretty well. But one thing I thought was interesting was something in there, but I think I'm going to hold off on that for right now because we're currently focusing on this topic, so I'll bring that up later.
Well, I mean, Nick does well at not coming across as arrogant, I think.
Oh, really?
Oh, do you think he comes across as arrogant?
Yeah, but I like him.
Really? Because, see, I don't see smarmy as arrogant, I guess.
Wait, so what's your type?
An ENTP.
Okay.
Yep. So maybe it's a case of seeing something in myself in him.
I don't know. I don't really like him either.
I didn't say I didn't like him.
Nandi,
I ain't putting those words
Oh,
in my
okay.
mouth.
Christ.
My
Well, I don't
God.
did you leave your FE at home this morning or what?
Yeah, literally just.
I do
dropped
like
it.
him. I just think
I
you have
like
to
him
get
too.
through a point in conversation with him where you're getting into something rather than its surface sort of
Yeah.
the salesman.
He is not accustomed to dealing with people who cut right through his bullshit, right?
Listen,
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Very good for him. This is very good for him.
And for threes, sort of right in the middle, it says that threes become image conscious. They become highly concerned with how they are perceived. They begin to package themselves according to the expectations of others and what they need to do to be successful. Pragmatic and efficient, but also premeditated, losing touch with their own feelings beneath a smooth facade. Problems with intimacy, credibility, and phoniness, it actually has phoniness in quotes, emerge. And something I was telling him, I was like, even in the way they had that listed phoniness, I was like, the way that I would tell him, and what I told him earlier is, I told him that I didn't see him as phony. Like, I use it in quotes too. It's like it's a label to be prescribed or that gets prescribed by people. It's not necessarily that he has the intention. Kind of like what you're talking about with the
Right, exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. And a perfect example of what I'm talking about, which is, I may think Nick displays is phony. That doesn't mean I think he underneath that it all isn't a fully human person.
Mhm.
It's just he's having display issues. Which I've tried to tell him a few times.
Yeah.
It's and you know it's funny. I think part of why, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is a. I'm jumping around too much. I think I feel more empathetic or sympathetic, whichever one it is, with him, and I've thought that maybe it's due to us being on a similar integration path with the Enneagram, because 3 goes into 6, which goes into 9, which goes back into 3. That thing loops, and
Can you read the other 3 things?
the other 3, yeah, there's more there, so I'll do that in just a second. But the thing I was going to say real quick is the 9 wants to be with people more, just sort of wants to meld in, you know. And then it's like the 6, there's more like a duality or something like that. There's more like opposition or seeing things from multiple sides. And then the 3 is just like more like a singular force. I think in the same way that I want to be driven, I think he wants to be connected with people. But the thing is, because of that integration path, you could be convinced that you need to, like, not convinced that you need to go backwards, but the tendency will try to be to slip right back into that thing, because that thing you're heading for is technically right behind you, but you're going in the wrong direction. Instead of moving forward towards it, you're trying to take the easy way, and it's like that. I think for the type 3, that's where that sort of smarminess or that phoniness comes into play, where it's like they want to sort of jump the gun and just be with people, so it's like, oh, I'm going to put on this display so you like me. So now here I am, and
well,
now
all right,
Yeah.
so I want to know, though, what the other manifestations of 3 are, because in a lot of ways I identify with the same level of 3 that you just read.
Right.
I don't think I display quite so phony, maybe, most of the time.
Mhm.
But I do feel the adaptation to match the expectations of others for the purpose of attaining success, that seems to match my conscious and willful course of action at the moment.
Okay. That was like the middle one. Still in the average levels, moving up. You go from that sort of problems with intimacy, credibility, and phoniness emerge to highly concerned with their performance, doing well at their job, constantly driving themselves to achieve goals as if their self-worth depends
That's not
on it.
me.
Terrified of
Next one.
failure.
Next one?
No, I'm saying like that's going
I know.
up. It's like
I know.
as they
Give me
get
the next
healthier.
one up. I want to know what the next one is after that.
The next
'Cause
one up is
that one's not me.
ambitious to improve themselves, to be the best they can be, often become outstanding, a human ideal, embodying widely admired cultural qualities, highly effective. Others are motivated to be like them in some positive way. Not
That's
feeling
not
it.
me.
Let's make sure you're not. Let's make sure you're not shit the the bed. Let's go down.
Now keep in mind that I'm 3 in the 3rd slot, so maybe it's
Yeah,
just
my
lower.
three's there too.
Let's just make sure. Want to impress others with superiority. I'm going down. This is below the starting
Oh
point.
yeah, that's good.
Con-
Shit.
wanting to constantly promoting themselves, making themselves sound better than they really are, narcissistic with grandiose inflated notions about themselves and their talents, exhibitionist and seductive, as if saying, look at me. Arrogance and contempt for others is a defense against feeling jealous of others and their success.
I mean, that's
I
awfully
really don't want
harsh. I don't really want to be that one. That seems
know what
kind
your
of
main-
harsh.
You know what your main is?
Do we have a better choice? I don't like this list anymore.
Are you 7 or 8?
I'm a 7.
I was 7 too, so I think we have the same 783, right?
Oh,
so
okay.
mid-round.
We're exactly the same subtract
Okay.
type.
There we go.
Talking, talking,